Good. There we go. Good morning.
Hello.
I still sound like crap.
Well, you sound a little bit better than you did last week.
Oh,
You feeling any better?
I feel better. It's just I'm gonna go get to the doctor this week and get checked because I think I'm ended up getting pneumonia too. Because it just feels like my chest is so tight.
Mm-hmm. Boy. I don't know about you. I swear. How's the weather out there?
Cold, and we just got snow. We got
Oh.
nailed.
Well, we had an ice storm over Saturday and Sunday. Sunday wasn't too bad, though.
Did you watch the sad excuse of a Super Bowl this year?
Yeah. What'd you think of it?
I quit watching it after the halftime show because I knew who was gonna win.
Well, Kansas City came back late in the fourth quarter, but if they'd have done that in the third quarter, I think they might have been a different turnout. What do you think?
There was something up with the team. They just didn't play together well. There was no communication.
Well, it looked like the front line just left them in. I mean, I don't know if they were paid off or what.
Well, the front line, I watched how many times the front line would kind of get pushed back and right into the quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they
It's
had
like
back-to-back sacks. Yeah, that was one right after the other, and that shouldn't happen.
no, not successfully anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Holy crap!
The commercials
Yeah,
were good. I was happy to see Budweiser brought back the Clydesdales.
yeah. Well, I won't buy Budweiser anyway.
Nah, but I like the Clydesdales.
I do like Clydesdales.
But I couldn't believe how many celebrities were in that stupid commercials.
Yeah, they're just trying to drain the pot, I guess.
The one commercial I missed was like the Doritos commercials. They always had really cool commercials during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think anybody's imagination's at work.
Nope. We're just recycling old things. There's a show on ABC that I watch called High Potential,
All right.
and she's neurodivergent. You can tell she's autistic. Her mind just runs, and she's a consultant for the law enforcement. Well, it turns out, and I was just looking through Amazon, Europe has the same damn show. It's been running for 2 seasons, and they literally didn't even when they moved it to the US, they didn't even change the scripts. The show is exactly the same the first season. And I show it to my husband. I go, "This is why I don't watch a lot of American TV. I watch a lot of foreign TV."
Yeah, it's better.
You know, it is minus the Tim Allen show. I like that one.
Yeah, I did like his.
Then there's the new one, Going Dutch, which is a military show. And it's funny because when I was reading the reviews on it, Dennis Leary's in it. He's the head of the base.
Yeah.
Civilians are talking about how dumb it is, yada yada yada, and then you read the other things, and it's all military. And saying, "Oh, this is great."
Yeah. Is it a actual military base or is it just a school?
It's a military base in Netherlands,
Oh.
and it's a service base, so it's where they do the laundry for the U.S. or for Europe, and then they
Mm-hmm.
do cheese. And it's all about. It's really dumb because like one of the main guys is so out of. He would be kicked out of the military in a heartbeat. He's overweight. He couldn't find a uniform to fit him, so he orders a costume online and wears that. His hair's too long. Yeah. And it's all about integrating civilians into the military base and doing, PR more than anything.
Hmm.
And so, Dennis Leary, his last duty station, he was supposed to go over to like some big base overseas, but they had decided to mic everybody up and camera everybody up during a mission, just a training mission.
Mm-hmm.
And he ran his mouth about the superiors, and he got caught. And so that was his punishment. And then the punishment was because his daughter was the acting leader of the base that he hasn't talked to in like 3 years.
Hmm. I don't know. It's crazy.
That's actually pretty good. I was surprised. But then again, I haven't seen any Dennis Leary shows that were actually really bad.
Yeah. My son's a firefighter, and every time he sees a show on about firefighting, him,
Hmm.
him and the other guys at the house, man, they just laugh. And whenever I say the house, I mean their house, the firehouse.
Right.
They just laugh. They go, that doesn't know. Talk about creative. What do you want to call it? Licensing or something creative. I don't know what you call it.
You can tell the shows that have actual firefighters on call on the set.
Mm-hmm. No, my son really enjoyed the movie Backdraft. You ever see that one?
That one I didn't see. My husband watches it all the time, but I don't.
I did like Backdraft.
I'm more into like the cheesy comedies and things like that and medical shows.
Medical shows are they're a little much for me too.
Well, there's one, I can't remember what it was called. Brilliant Minds, I think it is. And it talks about and it's more psychological than it is medical.
Hmm.
And how you think and understanding, your mind and how your mind works and your brain works.
Interesting. I don't think I ever heard that one.
It's on NBC.
What's it called?
I think it's called Brilliant Minds. Give me one
Green.
second, I'll look it up.
Hmm.
Yep, it's Brilliant Minds.
Huh.
And the lead guy to that, um,
Is who?
um oh god, what's his name? Zachary Quinto.
Spock on Star Trek.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I saw a couple commercials on that, and I totally forgot about it.
And then the other one is Irrational.
Hmm. No, there's one. There's one that's premiering or uh, just coming into its uh, showing or something, where the woman is in an accident and she's a
The
doctor.
Doc. Yeah,
Is
that's actually filmed here in Minnesota and based off of a real story here in Minnesota.
that right? Wow.
It's actually pretty good. It's about how she was this director of medicine here at the hospital, and she ended up in a car accident and lost 8 years of her life.
Wow.
And doesn't remember her son died, doesn't remember that she's divorced, but she remembers everything about being a doctor.
Hmm.
And it actually was a godsend for her because she was going to get fired before the accident because she just was, after her son died, she just shut down, was this mean, bitter person.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hmm.
she don't remember all that. So then she became who she was before her son died. Yeah, I was teasing my husband about it because they're showing the Minneapolis skyline,
Huh.
the Mississippi River, which, I grew up in the Twin Cities, so I know that skyline anywhere. And
Uh-huh.
I'm asking him, I go, does this look familiar to you? He's like, no. I go, how does it not? It's the Twin Cities. I forget people down here don't go to the Twin Cities.
Yeah, I went out to Northwest College for a oncology conference one time. That was several years ago. Uh, man, 2013, something like that. It was massage, oncology, and stress relief. And I had a good 3 days out there. Stayed at the Hilton. Hilton?
So how did that class on stress relief work for you?
How'd the what?
How did that class work for you?
It worked pretty good for me. I mean, whenever I came back, I had a lot of knowledge and that I put into use, but um, then I was in my accident and didn't do it anymore. So I forgot a whole lot, even though I got the um, CDs I could probably listen to them again, but gotta find them. I put them somewhere. I have no idea where I put them. You ever do that?
I do it all the time. We call it black hole
Yeah.
in our house.
Oh man, I thought I was the only one that did that.
No.
What is it? A military thing?
Well, the weirdest thing is the black hole. So my husband's dad passed away like 20 years ago. And the kids talk about him all the time, even though they've never met him, never seen him, whatever. And every so often, like his military ID or his Elks card or his VFW card that you have, all of a sudden will just appear on like at the counter or on the floor. And I'm like, where did this come from? I know I shoved it in my desk drawer. So
Mhm.
save it so the kids can see it later on when they got older. They just magically appear somewhere. And it's a place that's
Yeah.
like in your face.
Kids don't find them, right?
No, the ones that found him on the floor and brought it to me.
Well, maybe somebody's trying to tell you something.
Oh, his dad's around all the time.
Yeah, I wish I had still had my dad's VFW card. They have a life board member up down in down in the other bar area downstairs at our VFW, and his name's not on it. And he was a life member. He got me a life membership. And the funny thing about it is, I've been a life member at the VFW since 1976, and he only ever called my number once, and I wasn't around to sign the book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, oh well.
I need to sign up for it. I don't belong to the Legion or the VFW out here.
um, we're trying. Things are changing. I mean, the mindset for some of the clubs are changing. I know I'm on the I'm second vice commander at American Legion, and I know we're trying to change the how you want to say attitudes or thought processing of it being a
Old man's club.
either an old man's club or just a get together club, some sort of club. It's not a club. It's for the veteran, and we're trying to do and bring new veterans in and telling them the benefits of being a member. And the only way you can change uh, the thinking is from the inside, I guess. You know what I mean? Still there? Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I had to go let the dog out quick. He's barking at the door.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't hear anything. I was wondering what happened.
Oh, our dog is 9 years old, on his last legs.
Oh,
Royal pain in the ass. He's a lab mix,
Oh boy.
and he forgets that he's 120 pounds and not a lap dog.
Mm-hmm. But he wants to sit in your lap anyway.
Oh god, he's just on top. You know where I am in the house because the dog's right there. So like when I sneak up on the kids, it doesn't work because the dog's right behind me making noise.
You have hardwood floors or rug?
Um, we have linoleum type. It's those it's not linoleum, but it's those gravity floors,
Oh. Mm-hmm.
so it's easier to clean up. And then we have carpet in the living room, in the bedrooms.
Okay. Yeah, we got we have some hardwood floor, and my daughter's dog. I'll hear his toenails hit the wood.
Yeah, and dogs just wreak havoc on hardwood floors.
Mm, yeah. He's a good he's a little Maltese. He's not a teacup, but he's Maltese. And he likes to lay beside my wife while she's sitting on the sofa. He just snuggles right up to her knee, up to her leg. Crazy.
You sent me a text yesterday or the day before, I don't know, about imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing a little bit of research on imagination, more on how it's used in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize how much it's actually used, how we use it without even thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, really what imagination is, because it's got such a bad rap now. Kids with imaginations are looked at like they're strange or, out of it,
Mm-hmm.
disconnected from reality.
Yeah.
And really, all your imagination is your ability to form mental images, ideas, or concepts that are not present in reality.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's how you adapt, learn, and navigate the world. And really, the one thing that I found really cool about it is it's actually how it helps your emotional and mental well being.
Mm-hmm. And yet society says you're unstable if you do that.
I always use the excuse that, I've been tested because in the military, when you come back from deployments and stuff, you're tested.
Yeah.
You have your evaluation done. So I always say, I am military standard sane. Anything that's happened after that is your fault because I was good when I left the military. And my kids just look at me and tell me I'm weird
Uh-huh.
because
Yeah.
I'm still going around because my voice is like this. So they're still making fun of me.
Yeah.
So I keep still embarrassing them, like we're at the grocery store and I'll jump out at them. I'm Batman, and they just look at me like I'm nuts. I go, "Hey,
Yeah.
genetically, you're not far from me. So if I'm crazy, you're crazy."
Mm-hmm.
Then my son tots off some smart little comment that because he's back to stealing my books off my desk and reading them. on how the brain's wired and psychology and things like that.
Uh-oh.
Never good in kids.
Yeah, my grandson, he's quick to remind me, and he's 19, but he's quick to remind me whenever his dad says something off the wall, off the cuff. He goes, "Well, he's related to you."
Ah, ain't it great?
I love it.
But the big thing is how we're able to adapt to any situation and how we make our split second decisions
Hmm.
and how we accomplish our missions and look at things in a linear perspective is all because of imagination.
Yeah,
So when you're the way that I look at it as is, autistic kids have a linear perspective and they're always looking at things, at a different level. They're very similar to how military thinks. And so they're always talking about how, divergent kids don't have an imagination. They don't understand, certain things. And really, they have a higher level than we do,
they do.
which is why they have that wicked, twisted sense of humor that they only share when they feel comfortable to share it with.
Hmm.
But and it's the same thing for us. We don't do things because it doesn't just to do it. It has to fit a purpose. We don't do well with busy work.
Nope.
They're the same way. It's like with so kids cannot read anymore. They can't sound out words. So they're readjusting the curriculum to be more phonic based and teaching kids how to sound out words. There's no more sight words, memorize them and figure it out. And our great governor, great guy. You may not catch the sarcasm with the voice the way it is, but I'm being sarcastic.
I know who your governor is.
And he's redesigned our curriculum to they test the kids on phonics. So instead of giving them huge words that they have to sound out to try to understand what it is to see their level of understanding of sounding out words, they give them three-letter words that aren't real words and tell them to read them.
Huh.
My son went off at the teacher when they tried to do it to him. She goes, "You need to read these words," and he's like, "They're not words." She goes, "Well, can you sound them out?" He goes, "They're not words." He goes, "This is bullshit. How do you test me on words that don't exist?" And I looked at it. I go, "Couldn't you give him something like microbiology, neuro, whatever words that I don't even know, and make him read them?" She's like, "This is the curriculum. This is the words that we're supposed to test him on." I go, "So you're telling me that the new system is designed for kids that can actually read and have an IQ higher than dirt to fail it because they can't sound out words that don't exist because their minds don't work that way?"
And she said, "Yeah, probably, pretty much."
So we just mark it down as that he's not cooperative. So I go, "You give him a red mark because he's not cooperative because he didn't do the test."
You gonna test me on that word?
I'm looking at the words and I'm like, I don't even know how. Like one was KIV, and I'm like, David looks at me and I'm like.
What
Because
the
the
heck?
kid's been raised since he was 3. Give him my psychology book. Let him sound out the words that way. Because half of us can't even pronounce half the crap in those books.
Hmm. I doubt very seriously if your governor could pronounce them. What do you think?
And that's just it.
That's just. We used to be high in education. Used to be. And then the educational system came into being, and we went downhill from there.
Well, now we dumb down our education to fit the kids' needs and not the other way around. And I've got friends that live in like Japan and South Korea and China
Woo.
who have, their school system's insane.
Yes,
Their
I
kids
agree with that.
their kids are doing a CB average or even a low A in class. So they shipped their kid for a year or two here to the US to rank number 1 here and then send them back. So it ups their ranking over there.
Yeah, it's what the foreign exchange student program's all about, probably.
Yeah. Well, and the original reason for foreign exchange was for kids that lived in, rural areas to get a taste of someone else's culture
Yeah.
or to send your own kid over there to understand their culture.
Hmm.
I don't know. I just don't think I'd ever let my kids do that. So
I know that feeling.
I was doing some research or some looking into it. So here's the common reasons why people say imagination is bad. It causes overthinking and anxiety because because it can cause kids to go to worst case scenarios and unrealistic fears. It leads to disconnection from reality because of excessive daydreaming. It promotes misinformation. Unchecked imagination leads to conspiracy theories.
Okay.
It challenges conventional thinking. It Society discourages imagination thinking in favor of rigid structured practical solutions, which means it makes your kids into robots.
Hmm. Well, they say you want to control the population, the people, attack the kids.
And here's the interesting part, though. What happens when imagination is suppressed? And this fits right into the narrative of what's going on in the world right now. Children who are not encouraged to use their imagination struggle with problem solving, adaptability, and creative thinking. Over reliance on structured learning without space for creativity can lead to difficulty handling uncertainty and innovation later in life.
Hmm.
Now we wonder why our mental health issues are so high.
No, I don't really wonder. We just have to become enlightened. And I use that term loosely. Hmm, it's interesting.
A decline in unstructured imaginative play has been linked to deteriorating mental health in children. These are by top researchers. It
Hmm.
highlights a connection between reduced opportunities for independence and increased mental health issues among children.
Then why don't the top people, scientists or top psychologists, do something about it?
Because they're written off. Because parents don't do shit about it. That's the problem. We give our kids technology. I don't know how many times I've gone to the grocery store and I see a 1 or 2 year old with a cell phone in their hand. It's like, why are they? They're one. They don't need a cell phone to keep themselves entertained. They should be able to sit and look around in a store.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is with technology, it's instant gratification,
True. True.
and it's all passive. Video games, social media, streaming content.
Yeah. And
There
those that
is no
want to
free
break the
thinking.
mold are labeled uncooperative. Uh, what else?
Mhm.
Not not terrorists, but uh, what? I hate it when my brain takes a vacation, leaves me behind. Been doing that a lot lately. Mm, mm. I don't know. That's why whenever I sent you that, I sent you at the bottom. I said Einstein said he didn't really thought of himself as a genius. He just was passionately curious. And I said, may we all be just passionately curious. I've had people tell me to grow up and act my age. And I said, I am acting my age. That's why I wear the Mad Hatter's hat.
See, Einstein believed that imagination was more important than knowledge. For
Yes.
knowledge is limited, where imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evolution.
Where did the new ideas come from? Except through imagination. Unless unless aliens decided to beam down and show them.
Well, don't forget the lizard people.
Yeah.
He talks, there's an interview with Einstein that he talks about, he was 5 years old, couldn't read, but he'd have visual pictures in his head. He remember walking down the street, screwing around, and his mom would get frustrated because he'd end up being so far behind when
Hmm.
they're walking, you know, seeing these images that he was. he could translate into mathematical equations.
Hmm.
He viewed everything as a puzzle and how to solve everything.
Mm-hmm. He had an interesting mind, that's for sure. I like being curious, even though they say curiosity killed the cat.
You may have liked being curious. Now, did your parents like you being curious?
Say that again?
Said you may have liked being curious about your parents, because I know curiosity kids tend to create messes.
No, oh yeah. I'd make a mess, but I always clean mine up.
Mine try, but a lot of times it ended up making a bigger mess trying to clean up the original mess.
Mm. I like to experiment whenever I was younger and making food, making meals. I'd experiment and make messes. I had flour here and cornmeal there and all over the place. I don't do that
Now
too much anymore.
uh, we have the rule in our house: science experiments belong outside, not inside.
Not necessarily.
My
Some,
kids' science experiments belong outside.
oh, okay. Those kind of experiments.
They're working on understanding gravity, and so
Oh,
yeah, they take different bowls of different things and tip them over.
uh
Yeah.
huh. What they
We have
could
a
do.
shop vac stored in my house upstairs just for that reason.
What they could do, or maybe they've already done it, is get a cell phone and put it on camera on slow mo, and one of them throws up a pan full of water, and the other one uh, records it as it comes back down.
Well, right now in Minnesota, what they do is they check the temperature by taking different hot water, cold water, warm water, and throwing it outside and see how long it takes to freeze.
Ah.
So when you walk out my back, you got to be careful because it's a sheet of ice.
Yeah. If you're gonna do that, don't do it on the sidewalk.
It's the
So,
cement slab behind my house, and it's just oh my god,
oh, never a dull
mom.
moment.
No, but the thing is that we wouldn't have the space program if it wasn't for Einstein. We wouldn't have AI like we do. AI has been around since the '60s.
Mm. Well, it was coming into development in the 50s.
Yeah,
They were talking about it.
I've actually got a really good friend of mine who's a geneticist who worked for John Hopkins University in a hospital, and he's out of DC.
Hmm.
he actually helped create the first AI for medical hospitals
Wow.
back in the day.
Hmm. Now they
He's
got
doing
robots doing surgery.
yeah.
I don't like that. I'm not real wild about that.
No, you get a glitch and what happens?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know. And so many possibilities.
Yeah, but you still need humans to control them.
Yeah, until they become self-aware, and then we're all in trouble.
Yeah.
And we got Terminator on our hands.
I always think back to the I don't remember if it was in the late 80s or early 90s. Remember the movie House?
Mm-hmm.
That is what I always think of when I think AI. That was the very first original concept of a smart house. And look what happened with that house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do remember that now. Boy, I forgot all about that. I'm glad you said something. Jeez. Oh, we were watching the Super Bowl last night. I I sent a text to my son. He's up underneath the mountain, uh, firefighting. He's a firefighter. He was working last night. I said, just so that you know and your friends know, I'm older than the first Super Bowl.
And what were the comments to that one?
Oh man, the one guy wrote back said, tell your dad. Oh, how did he put that? It was it's a guy. He likes to refer himself as a trash man bandit, a raccoon.
Uh,
So for me, his nickname is Rocket, like in Guardians of the Galaxy.
yeah.
I go, "Hey, Rocket." He said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm surprised it wasn't a lot older." I said, "Well, I did hear that a couple of archaeologists did find a fossilized football."
That's pretty good.
Ah, they laughed. Yep. And the one guy says to my son, he says, "Oh," he said, "I like hanging out with your dad at the clubs." He said, "He's cool." He said, "What happened to you?"
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah. I
So
don't know. I don't think that.
next Monday is President's Day.
Okay.
So I thought we'd talk a little bit about the history of President's Day and why we celebrate it,
Okay.
or why we're supposed to celebrate it.
Yeah, that's even better.
Yeah, why? We're supposed to because we don't do it anymore. You get the day off of work if you're a federal employee,
Mm-hmm.
or if you're a banker.
Yeah. Medical services don't take a day off.
Do the kids have school that day? I don't even remember.
I couldn't tell you.
I tend to forget and make my kids go to school when they don't have school.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I'd go up and roust them out of the rack, and my daughter would go, "Dad," I go, "It's time for school. Time to get up." She goes, "No, I'm off today." I go, "Oh, sorry. Go back to sleep."
I've done that to my husband on weekends. You're late for work. He gets up and dressed and panicked.
Mm. Oh, I've done that.
He turns on the TV and he's like, "No, it's not."
Aye. Good things, good times.
Yippers. So, any parting words as we run down the clock?
Uh, no, not really. Just stay passionately curious.
And remember, imagination's not a bad thing.
Exactly.
Encourage. Take electronics out of your kids' hands. They don't need to be on them 24/7.
Exactly. I mean, my mom would actually kick me out of the house and say, "Go help your dad mow the lawn."
You know, we were not allowed in the house from sun up to sundown. Girls came in to go to the bathroom. Boys stayed outside because, they could pee by a tree.
Yeah. Uh,
You drank from a water hose.
yep. In the summertime, after mom and dad went to work, man, I was gone. I was riding my bike here, riding my bike there. I lived, man.
The scary side is you see all these kids sitting at the park, but they're all sitting with cell phones. It's like, what's the
Yeah.
point of you being outside in the park? And they're all having a conversation with each other on their phones. It's like talk, words.
Sitting across from each other. They don't
Yeah.
know how to communicate anymore.
No.
Ugh. Use the imagination. Learn your ABCs.
Learn real words, not just acronyms.
Exactly.
Because some of us who have to live in a world of acronyms struggle with understanding what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, because sometimes the acronym that they say doesn't match the acronym that we think.
Exactly. I always joke that I had PTSD from trying to understand what the hell y'all are talking about.
Yep. I agree. I understand. I think that is a military thing.
Oh, it is. Like even now, like my husband's boss gives him shit because I was said like he's supposed to be home, at 4 o'clock. And I need him to stop at the store. And so I'm like, sit rep. I'm not going to ask him to stop at the store if he's already 5 minutes from home because there's nowhere to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And his boss is like, was she checking up on you? And I go, nah, she just wants something. That or it's just the kids have been a handful and I just need a break. So dad needs to get his ass home.
Yep.
Mom needs just to go hide for a while.
One last thing. A lot of the kids today can't tell time either.
Oh, I know. We have only 3 digital clocks in our house. And it's the microwave, the stove, and my Google display that's down in my office. Otherwise, every other clock in our house is analog.
Mm-hmm.
My kids can read the clocks.
Military time?
My son does. My daughter don't.
I was gonna say, if you tell them to be home by 1500, they know what you're talking about.
Oh, my son does.
Yeah, I tried to teach my son that whenever he was growing up. He said, "Dad, I won't need that." I said, "You will if you go in the military, and you will if you go in the firefighting service or any medical profession."
Yeah.
He goes,
Or
"I
even if
won't
you
need
do
that in
work
life."
overseas.
Huh?
We're the only country that really only has a 12-hour time. Overseas, it's 24-hour time.
Yeah.
And I like it because you can't screw up AM and PM.
Right. Exactly.
Like when I program this radio show, that's 24-hour time. They don't have the 12-hour thing. They do full 24 hours.
Hmm.
So for people like me, it's pretty easy.
Yeah. And those living across the international date line.
Yeah. That's got to be fun.
Oh yeah.
All right. So as we wind down the clock, we are out of time for today. So join us back here next Monday,
Yes.
9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. And we're going to talk about mental health and other issues, things that, but also next week we'll be talking about President's Day since this is a military show. And like it or not, our president's our boss.
Or
No matter
supposedly.
how senile or eccentric they are.
Yes.
All I gotta say is at least we have a president that knows what countries he's in.
Amen.
So have a good day. Have a good night. We'll see you back here next Monday. Bye for now.
Well, bye now.